You are listening to the TV Obsessive podcast, brought to you by TVObsessive.com.
Okay, welcome back to the TV Obsessive Podcast. Here today for episode 124. As always, my name is Cameron Crane, executive editor for TVObsessive.com, and I'm joined by Ryan Kirksey, writer and contributor for the site. How you doing today, Ryan?
Not too bad. It's very, very hot here in Houston for October. Wish I had a nice big quarry or something to jump into. A little water on the shoulders, cold water on the shoulders. Make your heart not explode. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, you don't have quarries
No quarries. We get the ocean, and that's it.
yeah. I don't know. I don't know about you. I don't really like swimming in the ocean. I don't know if it's a phobia or what, but like it's not just that there are sea creatures in there, but it's also like that's
Yeah,
vast. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
he was getting sucked out to sea or whatever. Like another show we
yeah. Lots of
like
bad
a
stories
while ago.
about that, and so I just don't like swimming in salt water either. Just not for me.
Yeah, not really my thing. So it's like whenever I've gone to the beach at the ocean, it's like I'll just sit on the beach. And the most I'll do is I'll like walk up to the ocean and get my feet wet, kind of thing,
Hmm.
and that's like about it. Or maybe I'll wade in like a couple, uh, just far enough to like go underwater once or something to cool off. I don't know.
There you go.
I don't
That's the way
really
to do
get swimming in the ocean, and again, there are monsters in there. So it's like,
it.
it's also that, or is it like being like fifth grade and watching some thing in biology class about ocean creatures and just being, scarred for life about the possibility of running into one of these things. Anyway, enough on that. We are going to talk about task in the latter part of the pod, picking up with episode 5. If you missed it last week, we hit on episodes 1 through 4. So we're going to continue through until it ends in a couple of weeks here. It's October 8th. What else you been watching this week, Ryan?
Yeah, not too much. As sort of, I guess I don't know why I'm hoarding so many things to watch and binge all at once, but I know more things are coming. I did just because of I got intrigued by a new documentary coming out soon. I did go and check out the new Saturday Night Live cast. I'm just one of the few remaining massive fans of this show. So checked out the season premiere here on Saturday night. They have had a little bit of controversy this week. I mean, minor controversy comparatively. Um, for the first time in history, they have the same host on a season finale and then back again for a season premiere.
Okay.
I can't say I know a lot about Bad Bunny and his music, and he's the new Super Bowl halftime show, but they had him back and people didn't like that. A lot of people calling out SNL because they lost their only black female performer and didn't replace them, and so there's some
Hmm.
minor controversy there. So they just continue to go all in on the Trump stuff and had some pretty cheeky things to say about, oh, we better be careful. We're late night and Trump's watching us. That was kind of the theme of the first little bit of the
Yeah.
show.
I was thinking about that. I didn't watch it, and I'll pop in on SNL now and then, and so on. And but I think I did see something about them, whatever they were doing, making fun of Trump or whatever the right term is, and I started thinking, like it's really weird that, and hopefully this doesn't sound too political, but I feel like it's been a long time now. It's like almost 10 years, and it's still like it's not. I don't feel like it's effective political satire in a way,
Mm.
right? It's like they'll like kind of make fun of Trump by mimicking Trump. It's like you're taking the same kind of move that you would do with, I don't know, like George W. Bush or something, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you take the like mannerisms of the president and then just kind of overblow them a little bit or something. And I've always felt like that just doesn't work with Donald Trump. Like the reality is already
Yeah,
there.
okay.
You know
That's
what I'm
exactly
saying?
what I was gonna say. Yeah.
It's like you can't like dial it up further from how it actually is. So it's kind of weird in that way.
Yeah, and they've also suffered from having Alec Baldwin do it for 4 years, and then he hasn't been back around in 6 or 7 years since he left that behind. It's suffered because that was
Yeah.
just sort of landed so well with so many people, even though it was really just a mimicking of who he was. But they've got one of the regular cast members doing it, and it's not nowhere near as effective.
Yeah, yeah. It's like you can do an impression and like it works fairly well, but then it's like I just feel like it's very hard for them to write things that are more outlandish than what he says in real life. You know what I mean?
Yes,
And I don't
exactly.
even, I don't mean to be going hard and, hopefully no one's taking offense here or anything, but there's a guy who gave a press conference where he said, like, nothing bad can happen. It can only good happen. You know what I mean? So it's just like the reality's already
Yeah.
there anyway.
Well, the cold open was mocking the Pete Hegseth, Secretary of War, sort of speech he gave to the generals, talking about, need to make the military more tough and more male and all these things. It's like you actually can't make it more ridiculous than than it already was. So you're just repeating the same speech, basically.
Yeah, I mean, you already had I didn't watch it or anything, but I read about it, and I think I don't know if he said the acronym or the words, but it was like from what I read, Hegseth already said, FAFO,
Yeah.
Anyway, man, you mentioned Bad Bunny, yeah, going to perform during the Super Bowl. Some people aren't super happy about that. I'm kind of pleased by it in a way. Yeah, I am getting a little bit political here today, I guess, but like precisely because you could predict the kind of backlash that you would get, the
Hmm.
fact the NFL was like, we're gonna have Bad Bunny. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? And of course,
that's
it's
right.
because he's a big pop star and all of that. I mean, it's money more than anything else. But um, I've never listened to his music or anything. It's not like I'm
No.
a fan in that way. Just at a cultural level, I guess I was maybe a little bit surprised that they would say, okay, we're gonna have because I believe like he just sings in Spanish, right?
Yeah, I think primarily he does. I think there might be a couple of English on there. I'm certainly no Bad Bunny expert. Did not really listen much to his music, but maybe I was more surprised by they had a really, I think, young, relevant, quote unquote pop star last year. What with Kendrick Lamar,
Yeah,
and they whipped sort of back to that well now with Bad Bunny. Sometimes they'll sort of alternate these, old groups and rock groups and pop groups, and so it
yeah.
just they kind of went back to the more relevant cultural well there. And I think people are just, where's my Rolling Stones and my, stuff like that.
Yeah, I pulled up a Bad Bunny song and listened to it. I was like, that's all right. All right.
Yeah.
That's fine. That's fine. Um, but yeah, I'm still largely of the mind that the only truly good NFL halftime performance ever was Prince.
Oh, I love that one. That's is it my top two, and it's probably not two. That was pretty
Yeah,
good.
yeah. I mean, I don't know. There are a couple other pretty good ones. So, like, I don't know. I get it if it's like if the criticism is coming from the space of like I'm old and who's Bad Bunny. I
Right.
kind of get that, but some of the criticism is like because he sings in Spanish, because he's Puerto Rican, and all of that kind of stuff. And get out of here, whatever. He's a big pop star.
Yeah.
It's fine. You want to say anything else about this documentary, SNL documentary on Jim Downey that's coming down
Yeah,
the
so
pike?
I was maybe in an SNL mood, so I decided to check it out real time and the premiere because I had just watched the trailer for this new documentary coming out on Peacock on Jim Downey. And if you're not familiar with Jim Downey, well, I guarantee you, if you're at all familiar with SNL, you are familiar with Jim Downey. He wrote George Bush Sr. for Dana Carvey. He wrote George W. Bush for Will Ferrell. He's responsible for the Chippendale sketch. I mean, he is over 3 or 4 different stints with SNL and probably the most prolific, most people say the funniest writer they've ever had. So they're doing a documentary about him that's coming out on Friday, I believe, October 17th. I mean, just some of the best stuff they've ever done has been Jim Downey. I think we've talked about this before. Some of my all-time favorite SNL stuff is Norm Macdonald on Weekend Update, particularly when he was doing OJ, and that was Norm Macdonald and Jim Downey working together on all of that stuff. And so he's just always been the behind the scenes guy, been in several sketches that you might recognize, but if it's been sort of culturally relevant over the past 35 years, chances are he had a hand in it.
Well, yeah, I mean, I have to check that out. I'm always interested in that kind of behind the scenes stuff. Thinking about the writers and
Yes.
that kind of thing. Always kind of piques my interest. Like if I could, I'm the kind of weirdo who would like watch weekly interviews with film editors.
Yes. Yes.
Things like I think that'd be fascinating. I mean, just about the process of editing film or TV or whatever. So yeah, I may have to check that out. Let's see. Not a ton of news this week beyond that. Dexter Resurrection was renewed officially for season 2. I saw it earlier today. I wasn't aware that it hadn't been yet. So like this is the kind of the least surprising news I've read recently. Um,
This is the re-resurrection. Is that what we have here for season 2?
I mean, I think it's just going to continue on from season 1. This is like the Dexter reboot, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
so Dexter New Blood, I feel like was this attempt to um, return to the show for one season and fix the terrible ending.
Yeah.
Okay, and like they did that, a lot of people thought it worked pretty well, and so on and so forth, right? But then I don't know if it's primarily executives, like clearly the creatives um are into this as well. Michael C. Hall's back and all of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they said, oh, well, we're going to make more Dexter, which included the prequel series, which was renewed and then unrenewed, as we talked
Yeah.
about before. If
We've
people
talked
missed
about
that
that.
news,
Yeah.
that no more, what do they call that one? Original Sin. I guess there's going to be no
Yes.
more of that. But people seem to think that the first season of Dexter Resurrection was good. I mean, it had a loaded cast,
Mm-hmm.
and we talked about that along the way, but I think most of them died over the course of the season. So I don't know who all might be back.
Such is the
Well,
case with a show about a serial killer. I mean, that happens from time to time.
yeah, well, particularly when it's a show about a serial killer who kills serial killers, right? And like,
Exactly.
if you go back to the original series, it's like every season there's a primary antagonist who's
Uh-huh.
usually played by someone you definitely recognize,
Yeah.
and they die at the end.
Right.
Sorry for
Okay.
the spoilers, but it's again like that's the premise of the show. You know what I mean? Anyway, so we're gonna get season 2 of that, and something to look forward to if people are into um more Dexter. I imagine you would have told me if you'd ever dipped in on Dexter, Ryan.
I have not gone back to it yet. I mean, I certainly have not made it to Dexter Resurrection, but no, I've not made it even through any of the the original series yet.
Yeah, I haven't returned to it myself, the original series, but I've thought about it. Definitely, enjoyed it when it was coming out. It's been like almost 20 years now, I'm realizing,
Oh my gosh.
since season 1 came out. So, I guess Michael C. Hall is happy with this being the defining role of his career
Yeah,
because
really.
it certainly feels like it at this point. I mean, I still remember him in 6 Feet Under, and
Yeah,
I know he did the David Bowie thing, but like, he's Dexter, more than
that's right.
anything else. So, what else we got here?
Oh, let's see. I don't know if you've these two things are not necessarily related, but we're a big Clue movie household. I don't know about you if you like the Clue movie.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh,
we
absolutely.
one of my wife's all-time favorite movies. Our kids and us love it. Not a redo or reboot or sort of reimagining of the movie, but Netflix has decided to pick up on sort of the Clue tradition and are going to feature an unscripted series, a sort of a game show-esque murder mystery type show where contestants are put into sort of Clue-like games or puzzles to try to figure out this a killer in a certain scenario. So I have no idea if it will be worth watching or not, but this is something where played this game so much growing up, loved the movie. We still watch this in our house, so I will probably check it out to see if it's in any way, shape or form like any kind of murder mystery game that I can get behind.
Yeah, I'm definitely intrigued by this as well. Also a huge fan of the movie. At one point I realized I'd ended up with 2 copies of the movie on DVD. And I just thought, well, that's fine.
Yeah,
Maybe one of them breaks or something.
that's right.
Um, love the movie. I don't think though that this is going to have much to do with that, or I don't think
No.
that the enjoyment that we might get from this competition series that Netflix is making will resemble the film.
Yeah.
Um, Probably closer to maybe the experience of playing the game somewhat, although it sounds like they're going to have people do little challenges in order to get clues,
Yeah.
which is a wrinkle. I mean, I guess you couldn't, if you just recreated the game, it would be kind of boring, I
Yeah. I
guess.
was trying to think of something that this sounds like. It's not. I just can't come up with an equivalent that exists anywhere else of what this game show would. I'm sure there are murder mystery game shows out there somewhere. I just couldn't think of what this might compare to.
I can't really think of a TV show. Did you ever play Murder in the Dark?
No, never have.
Yeah. I mean, it's basically you just turn the lights off and it's like one person's the murderer and
Yeah.
they have to surreptitiously whisper in someone's ear in order to kill them. And then
Ah,
you turn the
okay.
lights back on and everyone has to try to figure out who the murderer is.
I see. Okay, I think we called it something else, but yes, I've done something like that.
All right, man. I played when I was a kid, you know. Did you ever play the Clue board game with a group of hardcore expert players? Because I have, and it was quite an experience.
Oh gosh, no. Probably played with teenage friends and just bored college buddies. I don't think I ever played with hardcore folks.
My ex-girlfriend's family, while we were together, we went for Christmas, and they are all like they have systems
Oh
for
boy.
how they take notes and stuff like that. So I'm playing Clue with these adults who are just like on top of everything, and it was actually really fun, and I felt really proud when I managed to win a game. You know what I
Hey,
mean?
all right.
Because I mean I'm doing the same thing, but it's an interesting board game, right? Because ultimately you could just like play it with little kids and it still works.
Yeah.
But um, although I was playing it one time with my nephews and one of them made a mistake and it messed up the whole game. So that was a bummer.
Yeah, for kids, yeah, especially for people that are taking it too seriously. But I don't think I've ever
Yeah.
been in that situation.
Well, no, I mean those are two entirely different scenarios.
Yeah,
So like
yeah.
it was fine, we got over it, but it was something like, my nephew didn't show a card that he should have shown or something like that. And it was like, oh well
Uh,
now you messed up everything, basically. Like all of the inferences I've been drawing over here, like I don't even know anymore what's true.
yeah, yeah.
So anyway, Clue's fun. I feel like also I was going to mention reading the story. I feel like we might have hit on this on the podcast a while ago when they like bought the rights or something, but it might have been quite some time ago.
Yeah, and it
I
sounds like they
just
have one in the pipeline for Monopoly and other games, so this may be a thing that they're trying to develop. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's what it was. It was like they bought the rights to all of these board games or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, Clue is probably a good place to start. I am sort of intrigued by the series. I may check it out. I mean, speaking of other TV shows, it might kind of remind us of maybe The Traitors a little bit
I
somehow,
was
but
thinking that just to sort of the
that's
deception, just sort of trying to figure something out. But yeah, I can see some fingerprints there of that.
I mean, the inferences. I think that's the reason why I feel like I might enjoy the show is probably similar to why I enjoy The Traitors, I guess is what I'm saying, right?
Yeah,
That it's not just a straight up um like Big Brother stabbing
right,
people in the back kind of
right.
show, but rather that there's a mystery to try to figure out and so on. So we'll see. I wonder, given that it's going to be on Netflix, if they'll drop it all at once or not.
Yeah, I would imagine so. I can't remember the last time I watched something on Netflix that was not a all at once or a all at once for this part, and then the second part is going to be the rest of it. That type of thing.
They've played with it a little though with some stuff. So I don't know. Anyhow, coming presumably sooner than that, because I don't think we have a date on the Clue Game Show at all. Just getting going. Night of the Seven Kingdoms. We're gonna get early 2026, which also I think is not surprising. We that's kind of what we expected, isn't it?
Yeah, we heard news that this was probably early spring at this point, that this show is going to be moved from summer. I think House of the Dragon has been summer the past first two seasons. This will be moved to early 2026. We have confirmation from the HBO sites that this will be coming in January. There is a panel for Night of the Seven Kingdoms at New York Comic Con coming up this weekend, where it's very, very likely we will get a trailer for this show. It is just a few months away. And so it seems like for the first time ever, HBO will have two Game of Thrones shows on in the same year. This will
Yeah.
go for about 7 or 8 episodes in January, February, and then House of the Dragon should be back in the summer. I'm looking forward to this. I did make my way through the audiobooks, thought it was quite good, interesting story that's again not necessarily connected in a significant way to the other two. But yeah, just curious to see what we do. Hopefully they give us a good trailer this weekend.
Yeah, and I'll probably watch it. For the
Yeah.
same reason I watch House of the Dragon, and every week I say, like, I'm not sure if this show is good, but
Yeah, right.
it vaguely reminds me of when Game of Thrones was good, so I'll watch it.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, and House of the Dragon is going to come up in our next segment since we touched on it
yeah,
last. It's coming.
a
It's coming
little
up.
bit. We'll make at least a little bit of reference, although we'll avoid big spoilers. It's funny. I was talking to a couple of friends a little while back about House of the Dragon, and I think somehow they brought up Game of Thrones and how bad the ending was and all of that.
Mm.
And this was my buddy Todd owns like a comic book shop, so that's where we were standing around the comic book shop. This will give you some feeling of like the kind of
Yeah.
cultural context, right? And so we're talking about various, kind of nerdy stuff along those lines. And Game of Thrones somehow comes up, and I asked them if they watched House of the Dragon. They're like, no. just straight up.
Why would we? Yeah.
Yeah, like the ending of Game of Thrones was so bad. Why would I ever give a chance to House of the Dragon? I was like, oh,
I
all
have I
right.
have several family members who feel exactly the same way. Yes.
Like, that's fair. But anyhow, so yeah, we'll get Night of the Seven Kingdoms and House of the Dragon next year, and then we'll get the following seasons in 2030.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Something
the
like that.
and the books never.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Wins winner, never gonna finish. We'll get the books after George R. R. Martin dies and someone else finishes them.
that's right. That's right.
Probably. All right. I'm joking, hopefully, but man, he's been working on that book for a long time. All right, so we're going to talk about Task. We're up through episode 5, this is going to be a 7-episode series, right, Ryan?
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay, that's something I want to talk about ultimately. But anyway, spoilers will be on the table here for the first 5 episodes. So if you haven't watched it or you're behind, you may want to go catch up, come back, circle back around. We'll put a little bit of music in here and be back with you in just about 10 seconds.
Okay, we're here to talk about Task, episode 5 on HBO. This episode titled Vagrants, written by Brad Inglesby and directed by Jeremiah Zagar. After not being able to find Cliff, Robbie goes to confront Ray at his home. He learns that Ray is in custody with the FBI, meaning someone else arranged the meeting in the park about the drugs the night before. After visiting Maeve to get Billy's Dark Heart's vest, Perry is still very suspicious of Aaron, so he puts a tracker on her car. He follows her to a meeting with Robbie. Aaron tells Robbie that Jason came home covered in blood, and Robbie does finally realize that he has killed Cliff. Perry confronts Aaron about their lies and accidentally drowns her in a lake. As the FBI closes in on Sam's kidnappers, a sketch artist draws Robbie's description from the witness who saw him with Sam, and Sam's bucket that he was dumping in the lake had Maeve's fingerprints on it. Tom shares all this information with his team before heading out to Robbie's house alone. Grasso is then seen meeting with Jason of the Dark Hearts and passing information to him, revealing that he is the mole in the task force. Tom arrives at Robbie's house and pretends to be working on a cold case about Maeve's father, but Robbie sees through it and forces Tom to drive them to a meeting Robbie has set up at his old cabin about the drugs. And as the FBI team searches for Tom, Robbie lets him go into the woods after he makes Tom promise to leave Maeve out of whatever's going to happen next. Tom reconnects with his team and the FBI, and they head to the last known location of Robbie's car near the old cabin. Tipped off by Grasso, the Dark Hearts also start to close in on that location. And actually, our last scene is Tom and Robbie, guns drawn on one another.
Yeah.
I don't know that I expected that episode 5 of 7 would be the one where we got the Robbie and Tom, I don't know if it's called a confrontation, but they do finally meet here. It's
Yeah.
not maybe not quite what I expected, and we still have 2 episodes left after a lot happened in this one.
Yeah, let's start there, right? Because we made some predictions on social last week that were completely wrong in
Yep.
terms of what was likely to happen. We were sitting here saying, oh, okay, well, probably Robbie's going to take off in the car with the drugs and the kid and, try to elude the authorities and the bad guys. And no, that's not what happens at all.
Yeah.
Instead, everything really comes to a head. A lot happens in this episode, but there's kind of so much forward plot movement. Um, I guess apologies if it seems like we don't hit on it all. I think what we want to do more is probably focus on, I don't know, questions we have and
Yeah.
things like this, or maybe there's some stuff to interpret a bit more than
Hmm.
anything. But yeah, I mean, as you ran through the plot there, it's kind of like, okay, it goes
Yeah.
down, and then the episode when the episode ends, it seems like final confrontation time. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Like you just said, basically, there's two more episodes, and I kind of have no idea how we have 2 more hours of story here, what they'll look like, but I'm very intrigued by that.
I felt exactly the same way, especially as in the scenes for next week, as it were. There's a lot of gunfire, people running through the woods, people scared, people running away. So, it's all going to kind of come to a head at some point in the next episode. And then what's left for episode seven? I am reminded a little bit. It certainly will not spoil anything of Mayor of Easttown that Brad Inglesby wrote, but there was what was thought to be a resolution in the penultimate episode, and then the last one he unveiled. Oh, actually, there's not. There's a lot more that you haven't been told yet, and so could be sort of that model that's coming. But I don't know that there are a lot more secrets that we have still to uncover here. Maybe a couple of minor things, but we kind of know who's doing what, who's on what side, and sort of what's come to a head here.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there could be a lot of fallout,
Yeah.
and given the fact that we have two full episodes left, and it seems like the final confrontation is right there. Like
Yep.
maybe it takes all of episode 6, but it seems like it should be the beginning of episode 6. Um, that then maybe episode 7 is a lot about all the fallout. So I mean,
Yeah.
what ultimately happens with Sam, what ultimately happens with the Brandis family, what ultimately happens with the Dark Hearts, insofar as in this episode, as you mentioned, um, I don't know what's his name, Perry,
Harry. Yeah.
um, discovers that Aaron has been feeding information to Robbie, and ends up killing her.
Hmm.
I don't think that was his plan. At least I don't. He didn't mean to kill her right then. I think that's pretty
Yeah.
clear. Do
My
you
impression
agree?
was, yeah, my impression was he was really just trying to keep her quiet because there were people literally up on the cliff who could have heard them. I think that he wanted to try to solve this another way, or at least maybe the protocol is we got to bring her in front of the council or bring her in front of the club, and we got to involve Jason in this somehow. I do not think that he meant to kill her right then. It certainly looked like he was A, remorseful at some point, and B, panicked at trying to, and he's covering up by telling these stories to Jason when they can't find where she is.
Yeah, exactly right. So I mean, in the long run, maybe the plan would have been to kill her because she betrayed the group and so on, but that there should be a bit more of a process.
Right.
I think you're on the right track there. And so that's another thing, right? How does this all play out? Is one aspect of it going to be Jason finding out,
Yeah,
and what's the
that's a very interesting piece that's left unturned right now. Is yeah, what is Jason's reaction when there's actually been this sort of sense of, oh, the group has lost faith in him, but what if Jason discovers that Perry, his mentor, his father figure, has done this behind his back? Yeah, that's very intriguing to me.
yeah, so what the fall, and I believe the other guy who's like above Perry in the pecking order already said that they voted to uh I don't know, do what, I don't know exactly what to Jason.
Yeah, I
Take
mean,
away his position, but I don't know if like
yeah, eliminate something, whether it's his position or his life, at some point in
this
the next
is,
couple of days.
I was gonna say, I'm not sure if this is the kind of organization where you can just get like demoted. I think that
Right.
might mean they kill you,
Yeah,
right?
yes, I think
I
so.
I don't know. I am basing a lot on Sons of Anarchy, I suppose, right? I did read though that they had or have had, I think it's a one season show, a consultant who used to be in a motorcycle gang
Oh yeah,
in
that would
Pennsylvania.
make sense. I know Sons of Anarchy did that as well. I mean, it does seem like a very, um, you know, from certainly an outsider perspective, realistic depiction of what's going on here.
Yes, we don't know, but yeah.
Yeah.
There's like a Hell's Angels place nearby here. I can go down there and be like, hey,
Oh
have you
yeah,
guys have
just
you guys
ask
seen
him. Yeah,
Task? How's that?
just Just get their feedback. Yeah.
How's it hold up? I'm just curious about your opinions here about TV. Um, so yeah, we've got all of that. We found out that Grasso is a mole in that scene. Jason gives him the phone back, which
Yes.
okay, put that back in evidence or whatever. A couple of things to talk about here. I guess one is, yeah, I was wrong. We were right to suspect Kristen Cole guy. Um, I suggested last week he might be squeaky clean and it's like a red herring, but I don't think that's the red herring here. Although we also have to talk about Kath.
Yeah. So I went back and watched this because I think there's still a question on the table of, okay, Grosso is a mole. That's clear.
Yeah,
That's unimpeachable now. Is Kath one? We saw her on the phone in episode 4 saying to someone mysterious on the phone, "We got a problem." I think
yeah.
that was an assumption that it was someone on the dark arts or, someone who's on the other side of this thing. But could that have been this internal affairs person that she was talking to in this episode? But then Jason and Grasso have this conversation about the phone, and I think Grasso looks at it and says, "What's that?" And Jason says, "This goes in the evidence locker." So it's like
Oh, well, no.
someone, I need to verify that. I think that's what happened. So, like, someone else gave him the phone. Grasso didn't know anything about it or didn't know what it was, but he's been tasked with putting it back.
I don't, man. You should have mentioned this earlier. I'm going to revisit that. I don't think that's what he said. That
Okay,
doesn't
I may
match
have
with
that
my
completely
memory.
wrong, but
I started thinking, and also you changed your note on our show sheet from last night. But yeah, I also revisited that scene. And I guess it's at least a question, right? Even watching it again with this question in mind,
mhm.
the scene very much reads as though Kath is calling the Dark Hearts or something like that.
Yes, yes.
Um, it just feels that way. So I did start thinking though, well, is that misdirection? Because you're right, it could very well be that instead she was calling the internal affairs guy, what's his name, Connor, who doesn't know how to dress summer casual.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I revisited that scene too here this morning, and from episode 5, right? When that guy comes in and she makes that comment to him, he's like, got files or whatever.
Yeah.
And he's like, you got a moment to chat, and then they don't follow up on that. I mean, of course, a lot of other stuff ends up going on, but did he find anything? Because
Yeah.
it also in that scene, it feels like he did find something because he wants to talk to her about it. Um, but we don't find out what.
Yeah, we have
So
no sense, and I presume, well, I don't know if it could be at episode 6 because this is one of the threads that'll have to be pulled in 7 because none of this is going to go down in terms of what we find out or uncover while they're out in the woods shooting at one another. I don't think. So it'll be more of a there are still surprises left in episode 7 when we started to use your phraseology to find the fallout of all of this.
yeah, I think it's an open question as to whether Kath is corrupted or a
Hmm.
mole or however you want to put that, right? Again, if you return to that scene in episode 4, she calls someone, she says, "It's me."
Mm. Hmm.
That's the first thing and I don't know, that gives a certain vibe, right?
Yes, it does.
Who do
Yes,
you
it
call
does.
up and say, "It's me"? You know,
Right.
um, not someone who has your name in their phone.
I was gonna say you're calling the burner phone that doesn't have any contacts listed in it.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So it still has that vibe a little bit. We'll see. I did start wondering though, in retrospect, after we find out about Grasso, whether we've just been misled, but I kind of hope not, because I'd have a little bit of a complaint because that would just be for us, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Like, hey, let's just mislead the audience a little bit and then they'll find out
Correct.
later.
Yeah.
I'm not the biggest fan of that sort of move in making television. So
Are you worried about as Grasso and Lizzie are now out together, just the two of them? Are you worried about Lizzie,
yeah,
or are you thinking that she's going to be confronted with a moment and she's going to, as we saw in a couple episodes ago, she's going to not hesitate to have to take somebody down when she has to this time.
No, I'm more worried about her if I speculate about what might happen, right? Because as all of this starts playing out, Grasso is trying really hard to tell the Dark Hearts to not come to that cabin.
Right.
It's like, look, Robbie kidnapped an FBI agent, and we're all on the way there. Like, do not go to that meeting. But they haven't listened to him, and so I am concerned, given the way that they split up.
Yep.
It's him and Lizzie are it's just the two of them, right?
Yep. That's right.
So if some kind of confrontation happens with the Dark Hearts in those circumstances,
Yeah. Well,
um,
he can easily just end her, and oh God, I was able to get away, thankfully, but they took her down, and there's no one to say anything different.
yeah, that's my fear, is that
Yeah.
Grasso is going to kill Lizzie in those circumstances. At the same time, we've so far done a bad job of predicting this show, which I think is a good thing for the
That is a
writer.
good thing. Yeah.
So maybe that doesn't happen. For example, too, with Sam, we were talking last week about, okay, well, is Maeve really going to go turn him in? And we went in the direction of thinking that that wouldn't happen and Robbie would take off with him or whatever, but that didn't. No, Maeve goes and turns him in. But I recall I also said something last week about how worried I was about some devastating moment to come with Sam, and maybe that'll still happen, but it hasn't yet.
But and how would it? He's off at another location with
Yeah,
other FBI agents we haven't seen before. I'm more worried that we're not like we're done with Sam. We never see him again. I mean,
yeah.
he's fine, but we just never see him again.
I kind of doubt that. Kind of doubt that. But it does feel like we probably are not going to see the scene where he learns that his parents are dead,
Yeah,
because that must have happened by now.
I'm sure that's happened by now. But then also, they're not going to give him to Maeve. That doesn't make any sense. They're not. Are they going to give him to members of the motorcycle club? I mean, who are quote unquote family, but not really. I mean, it's like, what's his end game? I really don't know at this point.
Me neither, right? But that's something that I think we might get in the finale.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, and yeah, of course, him going to live with Maeve would be sort of the happy ending. And I don't know if we should expect a happy ending from this show in any regard.
yeah.
Um,
We might get Maeve reuniting with Robbie's kids at some point. I mean, that I could see happening, but even that, I'm not anticipating it will happen, as you said, because that would be somewhat of a happy ending.
yeah, I don't know. Like Maeve getting released or whatever would feel plausible to me.
Hmm.
Insofar as, I mean, when it comes down to it, what did she do that's illegal? I mean, it kind of boils down to the fact that she didn't turn Sam in for a few days.
Right.
You know
That's
what I
it.
mean? So it's like, in that period of time, yeah, she could be on the hook for um, some kind of conspiracy charge, or,
Yeah.
well, I'm not a lawyer. I don't know exactly what it would be, but that would make sense. At the same
Yeah.
time, what she's got going for her is that ultimately she did turn Sam in, and it
Correct.
seems like she was going to proceed to give information about Robbie. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So,
You could very easily, Tom could very easily make the case of she was under duress because Robbie was there and was threatening her. Once Robbie was out of the picture, she was able to leave and take Sam. I think he can cover her that way.
yeah, she's ultimately cooperating and so on and
Yeah.
so forth. And so, yeah, I think it would be plausible for her to meaningfully get out of the jam
Yeah.
that she's
Yeah.
in. It was taking a little while. And hopefully that happens, because I like her, of course. Of course, we also have Perry figuring out Robbie's involvement, and that scene between him and Maeve, which is loaded with tension. That was a very good scene.
Yeah, I mean, you're still family. We're here for you. Him just walking in the house, not doing what she wished. I mean, quite oblivious to not seeing Sam in the chicken coop there, but I guess that's just we need that narratively. But yeah, I mean, I think Maeve, even if she gets out of this, she's not in the clear yet because there's some dark hearts things she still has to be concerned about.
Yeah, for sure. I do love this kind of scene though, and the guy playing Perry, whose name I don't have noted. I recognize him though from elsewhere. I
Yeah.
feel like, but he does a great job, and I love this kind of scene where you get lines like, we're still family, and the
Hmm.
subtext is, "Be careful, or we might kill you."
Yeah. I'm telling Aaron, I can help you get out of this, meaning we don't know what, but probably means you're going in the ground.
Yeah, so all of that.
James McShane, or sorry, Jamie McShane is Perry.
Jamie McPhee. You have him pulled up. Do you see anything else he was in that we would recognize?
Let's see if there's anything else that I see here. A lot of just individual episodes of television, a lot for 30 years, it seems
All
like.
right, so very much that guy from that thing. Okay,
Yeah,
I got
26 years of,
it. Yeah,
onesies and twosies episodes of television. Yeah.
yeah. All right. Well, but he's doing quite well in this role, and I feel like he probably has usually played similar roles. I don't know. Put him in the Eric Lang bucket. Um, let's see. We have thoughts about the meeting between Tom and Robbie. I mean, this is really pretty extended. It's our
Hmm.
two protagonists finally coming together. Certainly, we've praised both performances here, and I found this all incredibly compelling. And I don't know what else I have to say about it.
Yeah, I maybe just assumed that their meeting would be when it finally happened would be antagonistic, would be, I mean, a real confrontation. But this was almost, in this car ride, like they're trying to find reasons to like each other or realizing that we're both kind of vagrants in a sense, as Robbie or as Tom tells that story about the bird that's outside of where it should be. So I think completely sort of turning that confrontation on its head, I was just, you know, and almost this sense of not being face to face, right? Robbie being in the back, forcing Tom to do this thing, just a complete reversal of what you might have expected their eventual confrontation to be. Just was very powerful as we learned a lot more about these characters, just the two of them sitting and talking to one another.
Yeah, and I mean, it makes sense. It tracks that ultimately. I mean, at one level, of course, Tom is just being a good professional FBI agent by
Yep,
not
yep,
freaking out too much or whatever. But you do really get the sense that he feels like Robbie isn't an evil guy. He's gotten himself into some stuff. And
yeah,
so the empathy you feel in that direction, I think, was one of the striking things from Tom to
yes,
Robbie. Um, and then you also feel it in the other direction, where it does feel like the two characters almost bond in a certain kind of way. Um, and I think it also tracks that when it comes down to it, Robbie doesn't kill Tom in the woods,
right, right.
um, and lets him go. Although
Yeah,
now it's circled
Robbie.
back around to more of a confrontation.
Yeah, I don't think either one of them. I mean, certainly, I think Tom wants to kill anyone. I don't think Robbie wants to kill Tom. Robbie wants revenge against the Dark Arts. He got mixed up in an area where he didn't mean to get into with these drugs. He just wants revenge for his brother, which is a tale as old as time, and certainly something we can relate to. Yeah, I don't think he wants to do anything to Tom or anyone else. He sort of understands that this idyllic life of just him and Maeve and his kids is gone, and so what's left, all that's left for me is just take out as many dark hearts as I can before this ends. I think that's all he really wants at this point.
Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit more because I think we're on the same page here, but we should spell it out for people. Aaron told him that he couldn't sell the drugs because the Dark Hearts had talked to Freddie,
Right.
right? So Robbie knows that. Um, he has the weird opportunity maybe to pursue something with Ray's wife and that Lee guy
Yeah.
again,
Yeah.
which does, excuse me, sorry. To be clear, That does not sound like a good plan.
Not at all. Well, she says she's a good person. Well, surely it's a good plan.
Yeah, okay, yeah, but okay. So I want to be clear. Yeah, I agree. It does not sound like a good plan. I don't trust her or anything like that. It still strikes me as a better plan than what he does
That's right.
if the goal is to sell the drugs,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that's right.
So at least as I'm putting this together, I think, basically you already got there in what you were just saying. Um, but my read is that he goes to Freddy, knowing that Freddy is going to call the Dark Hearts, and his plan actually is to set up this confrontation with the Dark Hearts at the cabin. You agree?
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. He's sort of got the high ground or the familiar ground. He's gone and checked out the cabin. Now he's going to a different location where he can scout it out and see what happens when the Dark Hearts show up there, because they just know that they're going to Billy's old cabin. So yeah, he's got some sort of plan that's clearly not a meeting. It's clearly I want to confront these guys on my terms, on my turf.
Yeah, yeah. Or I don't know. Like they get into the cabin, they blow up the cabin. Who knows what his plan is? We'll see how much we can piece together when it ultimately unfolds next week, because it's certainly not going to go to plan because the FBI is also there. That's not part of
That's
his
right.
plan.
That's right. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, presumably some people are going to die in the next episode. It's hard for me to see that being avoided, but
Yeah, it was an interesting cliffhanger to have the two of them sort of facing off with one another when we know that the FBI and the Dark Arts are going to be involved in this somehow. So the episode is not going to start with them shooting at one another. They're going to, I don't know, is Robbie going to convince Tom to be a part of something or go along with something? Is Tom going to convince Robbie that he can, I don't know, give some kind of benefit if it'll help him with the Dark Art situation. I mean, I have no idea where it's going to go, but it's not a confrontation between the two of them.
no. And then it's so Tom is yelling at Robbie, telling him it's over and so on. But then we see the dark horse, we see Perry, and they've heard Tom.
Hmm.
I don't know how close they are,
Yeah,
but maybe
yeah,
they're pretty close, and maybe this pretty quickly becomes a triangular kind of
yeah.
um
I think so. I think that's exactly right.
situation. And then yeah, where do we go from there? Um Again, I didn't do a real good job predicting what would happen in this episode, so I don't know if I'll do a good job predicting what will happen in the next episode, but I'm certainly imagining a lot of running in the woods and shooting and some death.
Yeah, the scenes from next week was very vague. A lot of close up people's eyes, a lot of onesie people running through the woods. That means there's a lot of things about to happen that we just can't unveil any of them.
Right, which I mean, you wouldn't expect them to. I don't even watch those things. Actually, I haven't even seen that. I don't know. Like the only show that I really enjoyed, and I'm probably this is probably in contrast to almost everyone in the world. I liked what Mad Men would do,
Oh, okay,
which
okay.
was I don't know if you recall this, but they would never give any information whatsoever. It was like you would see three still shots and a line out of context that meant nothing to you. Um, Next time on Mad Men, tick tick tick, nothing. This is, um, but yeah, I don't know. Let's say the other things to hit on here. I feel like there's more we should have to say, but I'm not sure what.
Well, let me use what you're saying there as a point to bring this up. I've kind of soured on this Sarah Emily, the son in prison.
Oh,
It
okay,
just
yeah.
feels like I don't know what we're doing with that, particularly now, particularly with, okay, I guess they're worried about their father, so that's the objective of letting them have a conversation. But it's going to be really weird if they're in the next episode in the midst of all of this, confrontations happening at the woods. And then so now we're gonna have to spend some of episode seven like going to the hearing. Does Robbie and his adopted son reconcile? I just kind of don't understand what we're doing here with all of that. I get it that it's sort of set the context for Tom and who he is and what he's going through, but now it just kind of feels like it's just thrown in and it doesn't really make sense to me where it's fitting.
Yeah, it's interesting because personally, I guess in contrast to you, maybe, I do feel invested in that storyline, so that scene, for example, between Sarah and Emily in the kitchen when they're worried about their father and all of that, and the conversation that they have, and Sarah telling Emily that she doesn't want her to feel like she always had the only thing
Right.
she's allowed to express is gratitude, it's like it's all working for me. I understand what you're saying though. How does it fit in?
Hmm.
Um, Beyond being kind of backstory or characterization for Tom, I don't know.
Yeah,
Um,
maybe I'm just more confused as to how they're going to work this in the next two episodes. I can only anticipate that it'll be episode 7, then it comes back around.
yeah, I mean, I'm willing to wait and see.
Yeah.
But there is some level where this does make me almost worried about Tom
Yeah.
because
Oh, absolutely.
narratively, like that would make it would narratively it would provide more justification for the Sarah and Emily stuff if Tom dies.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I hope he doesn't though, because I like him.
Yeah, and it's almost, are they setting the stage for him to have this, I don't know, this sense of he can find forgiveness or can find reconciliation with his adopted son, and but clearly you can't have that if Tom doesn't make it back from the woods. Yeah, just you kind of need one or the other to happen.
Right. And there's also, I guess, I feel like there is some thematic parallel or resonance of what the experience that Emily has had
Hmm.
as uh, having been adopted and all of that, and thinking about what's going to happen with Sam,
Yes, yes.
So I think it works in that way. It fits in a lot of ways. But I do think you're right. I'm not sure how it's ultimately going to fit in terms of plot.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Like I was very invested at the beginning. I was very interested when they had I guess the blow up around the dinner table when the lawyer was there, and we sort of learn about what's happened and the relationship that these two sisters have. I don't know, just sort of maybe just hasn't kept the momentum I thought it would have throughout the rest of the
yeah.
season.
Mean another possibility is okay, so maybe this is Tom's story, and somehow the way that things go down between him and Robbie
Hmm.
takes him to a place where he can forgive Ethan.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that.
I think that's a possibility.
If he if he makes it out of there, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like, all right, the one possibility is he dies, and the other possibility is he if he somehow finds a way to forgive his adopted son, or something like that,
Yeah.
But it definitely does feel to me, knowing that there are 2 episodes left, that episode 6 is the climax. Episode 7 is going to be the fallout slash denouement, whatever, right? So I would expect something about Tom's family to be there meaningfully in episode 7. They've got
Yeah.
to pay
Yeah.
that off somehow.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. And I have to say, because I'm sad I don't remember this, um, across 2 seasons, Jamie McShane played Cameron Hayes in 12 episodes of Sons of Anarchy. So he has played this role before.
There you go. There you go. As if he feels like such a fit.
Yeah.
Man, Sons of Anarchy. That's one where I was into it, and then I felt like it got bad, and I stopped watching it. And then someone convinced me to start watching it again, so I started
Mm.
watching it again, and I got into it again. And then the way it ended, I did not think was good. I
No,
guess.
I didn't think the ending was
Um,
great. It's got some of the most lasting, impressionable scenes from the past 20 years of television. Thinking about a couple ones in particular. But yeah, it wasn't I think it could have.
it also got
Yeah.
like
No
self-indulgent
tequila.
at the
Yeah,
end.
yeah.
It was like they stopped editing the episodes, and the episodes were just like 77 minutes long. Anyway, I don't know. Sorry, everyone. This isn't the Sons of Anarchy podcast, but if you've seen the show, you understand why we're like motorcycle gang, all that kind of stuff. All right. Anything else you want to say about this episode of Task before we wrap it up?
No, that's it. Quite a title on the next episode. You can go look it up.
Oh yeah, it's a long one.
I didn't look up yet what this is from, but the title of the next episode is a quote, "Out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a river." So didn't
Yeah, we'll
Google
have
where
to
that's
look into
from.
whether that is coming from T.S. Eliot or something, or if it's
Hmm.
just, made up for the show.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that next week, though.
Stay tuned next time. Yeah.
All right. So thanks as always for listening. Hopefully you enjoyed the podcast. If so, please do leave a good rating, review, all that good stuff. If you're on YouTube, hit the thumbs up, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Really appreciate it. You can follow TV Obsessive on social media. If you search for TV Obsessive, you should find us on whatever platform, basically. And check out TVObsessive.com for written work on any number of TV shows, past and present. Coming up in the near future, we'll have stuff on the Chair Company. We're wrapping up our coverage on Peacemaker. I've been writing on Invasion. Ryan's going to write on It, Welcome to Derry, starting later in the
Yes.
month. And there's some other stuff probably I'm not thinking of at the moment also, but also a lot of older stuff and so on and so forth. So check out the site, and thanks for listening to the podcast. We'll be back with you next week.
All right. See you next time.